If you aren't comfortable asking, questions, please don't hesitate to drop a question in the chat, or send either Alyssa or myself a question afterwards, and we can do our best to get that information back to you. But I'm hoping that we can get some feedback based on the couple of bills that I'm going to talk about today. So first, last Friday was crossover, which is the deadline by which bills of priority need to be passed out of their originating committees in order to be considered by the other chamber. Many of those bills have passed, and the House and Senate will be on their respective floor today and tomorrow for extended periods of time. With that, there are still plenty of opportunities to be talking with members, and a lot of work happening behind the scenes. One update that did not make it into Friday's legislative report was H121. The data privacy bill did pass out of the House Commerce and Economic Development Committee. That bill passed unanimously, regardless of business community representatives sharing their severe concerns on the bill on several different levels. I have heard from 2 members, and the feedback that I have received has been incredibly helpful. Just a quick rundown of some of the issues that I think members on this call should be aware of. Obviously, it continues to contain a private right of action. So basically, if there is a data breach, your business could be sued if you end up being part of that data breach. All of the kids have come to get their jackets from the courtroom. So let me move real quick. In addition, so we've got a number of other issues. So basically, the data that is collected based in this bill, it does not pertain just to Vermont residents. If a customer is from out of state and the data is collected here in Vermont at the time of transaction, then it expands retailers' potential of management from other states to consider that has not been part of any of the conversations in any other state. We're certainly concerned about that. It does also require express consent to collecting and processing credit card data. So let's just, for example, use your online store, right? If someone is purchasing a product in your online store, customers will have to provide official consent prior to purchasing a product, which ultimately impacts the seamless process of purchasing something online, right? It doesn't, sorry, I lost my notes. It could require additional consent from customers, again, impacting the seamless nature of the shopping process online. Not just online, but also if there is a purchase in an app that you are providing customers access to as well. Further, there is a definition of targeted advertising in the bill. It doesn't take into consideration a customer's activity on your website unless it involves processing of sensitive data. So, for example, if someone makes a purchase that could broadly include health or wellness items, that will open up retailers to violating the law in the sense that you cannot be targeting your ads based on what your direct customers have purchased. Again, these are all pieces that have not been considered in other states. Further, it would require you as the retailer or the manufacturer or whoever is selling products to provide a list of third-party companies that you work with when it comes to managing your loyalty programs. So loyalty programs are protected in this bill, but if you are working with a third-party company to manage that data, you have to explicitly share with customers who you are sharing that data with, how it's being managed, what is being processed. And that could open up businesses to litigation. It could open up businesses to be out of compliance. It could open up businesses to sharing proprietary information. It also requires that on your website, you provide expanded accessibility and literacy requirements. So there are ADA requirements that retailers, that any business that has an online presence, it would require you to meet certain mandates. This expands that. So it's not just accessibility for disabled shoppers. It's also requiring literacy requirements. So it's expanding your administrative burden. And again, there is no example for you to go to learn how to provide this type of access in any other state. So that being said, it has taken me quite some time to get any type of feedback from members. So I have been unsuccessful in being able to stop or represent members in the House Commerce Committee. That being said, I have had a conversation with Representative Marcotte and let him know that we will be testifying in the Senate. But any information, I'm happy to share the most recent version of the bill with this group. If I can get any feedback from you, it will only help us to hopefully pare the bill down before it passes through the Senate. Again, I've heard from two members. I think, it's been incredibly helpful, but it's a complex bill, and I think that we have an opportunity to affect some change now that I'm understanding the full scope and able to clearly, not so clearly today, but hopefully clearly communicate it to you in our Friday update. Any questions on that? I know that was a lot of information.
Aaron, has Paul Martino from NRF been of any assistance to you?
He has not yet. I have reached out to him. I just need to poke him again and try to get him to schedule an hour or two with me just to go through the bill. He has been a phenomenal resource in other states. I'm a big fan of his. I just need to poke him a little more. Okay. So I will follow up with him today, and hopefully we can get him into the pipeline for the Senate discussion. Yeah. Thanks, Abby.
Yep.
Any other questions on 121? Okay. So of course, another bill that is of high importance is S18, the ban on flavored tobacco, that is now in the Senate. As I shared on Friday, the bill did pass the House, 83-53, which it's actually a pretty good vote. That was what we were hoping for, was a vote to show the governor that there is, not a full House of support, with the potential of sustaining a veto should he veto that. The bill will be reviewed in the Senate by the Senate Health and Welfare Committee, the Senate Finance Committee, and the Senate Appropriations Committee. It is on Senate Health and Welfare's calendar for, I believe it's tomorrow morning. We will not make any leeway in that committee as expected, but we do believe that there will be opportunity to make leeway in the Senate Finance and Senate Appropriations Committees. I am working with our member distributors to provide me information on a breakdown of the products that they sold and how much revenue that brought into the state in 2023, just as an example. I have some of our distributors' information, but I do not have all of our distributors' information. So my hope is that we can continue to gather that information eliminate any identifying information and then provide that to the governor's office as well as the Senate committees to give them a better understanding of the real fiscal impact. Again, I did that at the beginning of the session with most of our, I shouldn't say most, at least 3 of our distributors, but we have a handful of additional distributors that I'm still waiting on information from. I think it will come down to the fiscal impact. You know, we are still waiting for school budgets to be voted on and finalized, which means that we are still looking for more than $100 million in revenue in order to plug the hole that we are facing. And if we can make the point that we are looking at 25 million, potentially more, in state revenues, then I think we have an opportunity to stop the bill in the Senate, or at least slow it down, and then hopefully we can garner the governor's support in a veto. With that, as I shared, money committees are still looking for a significant amount of revenue in order to plug the hole here in the State House. There is no requirement here in Vermont that you pass a balanced budget, but it has been practice to end our session with a balanced budget. So hopefully that is where we can end up. But that being said, we are watching the money committees, so House Ways and Means, House Appropriations, Senate Finance, and Senate Appropriations, to understand what revenues they are looking to raise. Right now, I don't want to say it too loud, but we're in the clear right now, but we have another 6 weeks, which means talk of new taxes, additional taxes, increased taxes. It's all on the table. I do know that there is discussion about short-term rental taxes, rooms and meals taxes, but I anticipate that there will be further discussion about the perennial issues that we face: sugar sweetened beverage, candy, increased tobacco taxes, expansion of the coverage of tax, whether it's to services or increasing the sales tax. Those are all on the table. So I will be spending a majority of my time within those money committees over the next 6 weeks trying to identify and anticipate where we will end up to allow me to mobilize members. Those are the big 3 issues that we're focusing on this week. But I'm happy to take questions, any feedback on other issues.
Hey, Erin, it's Rachel from McDonald's. Just a question. There was a bill, and I'm sorry, I missed the first 9 minutes, so maybe you covered it. It's known in other states as captive audience, where
Yes.
in Florida, did you cover that?
I did not. Thank you for that question, Rachel. And I'm happy to give you a summary on the data privacy bill as well. I know that you jumped on after that. The captive audience bill, knock on wood, has been fairly quiet. I think that the House General Committee we did testify, and the committee did take additional testimony at the beginning of the legislative session. I think they're very aware of the Connecticut lawsuit, and they're waiting. I think they realized that they should be waiting until that has been litigated before they move forward. So far, that has been what has kept that bill sitting on the wall in House General. But again, I continue to monitor that and make sure that it's not going anywhere for the next 6 weeks.
Thanks, Erin.
Yeah. Any other questions? I feel like I touched on a few, but certainly not everything that is happening here. I think it's taxes, data privacy, retail crime. Retail crime did pass the House. So I will be working with some members once the bill does come to Senate Judiciary in order to get them to testify, or at least have conversations with the committee to hit home the serious need for H 534. There is also a bill that the Senate Judiciary Committee was considering last week. It surrounds conditions of release, which could support the retail crime bill. I think it's more of a holistic approach, so we are continuing to provide our support behind that bill as well. I'm sure I'm missing other issues, so feel free to chime in with questions or messages.
Don't forget our favorite PFAS.
PFAS. Oh yes, PFAS is in health and welfare this week. There is discussion. So there are two bills. PFAS in cosmetics, and there will be one more bill that the chair will be bringing up. So S25 and S197, they will be taking up this week for consideration. I think it's a long discussion. It's PFAS, banning PFAS in cosmetics, textiles, so clothing, and then turf. And so we'll be monitoring that. We're already having conversations about that issue as well, and we will certainly be keeping you all posted. Thank you, Judy. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, as always, please feel free to reach out. Most of you have my cell number, you have my email. Please feel free to chime in. And as always, if it's easier, I can send some talking points that I have finally received on the data privacy, but data privacy is going to be a huge bill. So any and all feedback and support that I can get for that would be most helpful.
Yes, please send that around. That'd be great.
Okay. With that, I guess I'll let you all go.